just wait for some folks to get on here, and I'll go into my discussion. But for now, I think I'll just go to Starbucks before I start. So we'll just do that. All right. Hey, Roy, how's it going? Yeah, I'm going to go in here and get me a Starbucks while I'm,
Starbucks not gonna get started for you.
Okay, hold that thought, Roy. I'll be right back with you. Um, I would like a venti caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino.
Yeah, venti caramel ribbon crunch. What else for you?
That's it.
All right, that'll be $6.90.
All right, thank you. All right, dash off. Oh well, that's going to be later on. That's going to be in September. Later in September, Roy. It's a 21-9 matchup. I'll discuss that more in detail. I'm just going to wait for some more to get on so I can talk about what I really want to talk about today, and that was this 3-week battle with this infirmity that really doesn't deserve a name because it was pretty rough. Right here while I take care of this.
Hello, 690.
All right. I'm going to have you hang on here. Let's see here. I'm going to have you put $10 on this card first before I do that. And all right. Yeah, well, Roy, I'm back in the gold for whatever the reason. I need 8 to get back into platinum, and there's nothing available right now, so I'm in the same boat where you are. Okay. Okay.
Is that for you?
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, like, genuinely.
Yeah, Roy, you've had a pretty slow week. It's kind of unusual for you.
Okay.
All right, we got 4 on here now. Okay.
There you are.
All right, thank
Have a
you.
good day.
You too. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to park over here in the Applebee's parking lot and just keep looking to see if something will open here. But through that, we're going to do what my original discussion is going to be here. Okay, here we go. Sit here for a little bit. All right, let me check this first. See if there's anything available. Okay. Slower than the normal slow. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised about Monday for you, Roy. I mean, Monday you're really you're really jamming on Monday, but for some reason that was one of the slowest Mondays you had. But of course, the previous Monday though, you had your best day yet. Okay, still gray in all those areas. All right, let's see if there's anything. Nope. Well, I'll keep checking. It's no big deal. If I get something today, I do. If I don't, I don't. That's fine. All right. We had 4 here. Guess we went back down. Oh, that's all right. I'll just wait a few minutes here and and go ahead and do this discussion to what was really important. Got lucky last Monday. Everyone ordered that day. I guess. Well, yeah, everybody was off too. Yeah, that was Labor Day. Everybody was taking things up. And of course, um, at that time, people were out doing their last barbecues for the summer. And I guess there were some things that people needed that they didn't have. And that was probably why you were so busy. But it was good to see that you were busy. And $300. Gosh, wish I could make $300. Every day. I make close to that on my W-2 as part of take home, but I got to work 12 hours to get that. So, but anyway, yeah, that was a great day for you. I was glad to see that happened. All right. Well, I know that Sunny's live right now, so I'm kind of competing with her. But of course, I didn't know. I usually figured that this time, because I know that Chuck is on later on tonight, and I certainly didn't want to compete with that. So, and I know I couldn't. So that's the reason why I came on now. And I know some people are still at work, so I get that. So for those who might want to watch this on replay, that's fine too, because this is pretty informative. And what I'm about to share, I really would like to see everyone know exactly what I went through these last 3 weeks, because it was pretty tough. Now, I know back in 2020, of course, we had the COVID era, and yeah, that was pretty rough. I ended up getting that, and I had it for a couple weeks and was off work for a couple weeks, and yeah, that was pretty rough. Well, I thank you, Fran. I certainly hope that that Caleb gets himself better too, because I know that was pretty scary for you, and especially when it's a child as young as he is, and you didn't know what was going on. And that's part of the reason why I'm on the air today, because one of the things that I really want to discuss is, I think that this year that's coming up, especially with it getting as cool in early September, and the way it was last month, I think that's part of the reason why I ended up getting what I got. And I think this is going to be a pretty rough winter, and that's one of the reasons why I came on the air today to discuss this, because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through, because this is the time to take precautions so that no one has to go through this. And let me just start here, because we're 8 minutes into this. I'm going to go ahead and start. And for those that want, that chime in, I'll be glad to chime in. But yeah, I'm hoping that Caleb gets better, Fran, and that will take the worries off of you, because of how you give him one every season, right? But sometimes, even though you can get those, doesn't always work, because there's technically 4 different types. There's types A and B and C and D, and then there's RSV, and then of course there's COVID. But the one that I got, yeah. Hello, Dink. How you doing? I'm glad that you come on, because this is what I'm about to discuss here. Anyone who comes on, that chimes on right now, I'm discussing something pretty important, because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through here these last 3 weeks. And when I went on, when I did my Shelbyville dash about 3 weeks ago, I was there because I went to go to the clinic hello, Sheila. Glad you could make it. And again, keep me informed about how you and and Star are doing on that, because I'm just so thankful that she reached out to you, as early as she did, because I think she appreciated the business. And of course, she, you know, keeps pretty tight with me and Monica and her little inner circle. So, I think she did that because she appreciated me. So hopefully you and Star will get going on that, and you will have a mega bestseller with you two working together. And plus, because both of you live in Texas, who knows? Let's just leave it at that. But let me go through this this deal that I went through, so that no one else has to go through this. When I did my Shelbyville live, of course I was there. I showed where the clinic was that I go to, and the place that I work over in Shelbyville. And when I went to the clinic the first time, well, they said that I had some kind of upper respiratory infection and some other things going on. And of course, they prescribed me some antibiotics and one other thing. Well, it didn't exactly work like they thought it would. And I finally, a week and a half later, ended up going to my primary doctor. And after taking the first prescription, which was amoxicillin, the doctor looked at, listened to my lungs and everything, and said that, well, it sounds like you got something deeper than that, because you got a respiratory thing too. You're still, yeah, it's been going around. But see, I had mine over 3 weeks, and it started with was Influenza A. That's what I put on my thumbnail, was Influenza A. That's what, because sure, COVID can take people out, but flu can too, especially this type, because type A is one of the most powerful of the strains, and that's what I had. And of course, I'm still recovering. See you later, Fran. But of course, I'm still recovering, because once you have this, it takes a while to get to get rid of. But I still have a slight cough, but not like I had. But I was on 3 different medications the first time that I went to the clinic. And then this doctor that I went to, my primary doctor, said that I was still, that the amoxicillin really wasn't working to the best of its ability, and I had to get up to something stronger. And then I also had to be prescribed prednisone. And when you're on that, you're not yourself. You are not yourself. You're grouchy. You're always tired. You're short. You're always tired. You don't feel like doing anything. And as a matter of fact, there were 3 days of my primary job I ended up missing. And there was like maybe 5 or 6 days that I would normally dash. Hey, Duke, how you doing? And there would be days that I would normally dash, but I was so out of it because of all the medications that I was taking. I felt like I was, I never really was into alcohol stuff. Never was. I was kind of when I was in college, but I never got myself to where I was really drunk. But when I was on all these prescription medications, that's what it felt like. You felt like you were drunk. You felt like you were just tired. You just didn't want to be bothered. You just didn't want to, you just weren't yourself. I wasn't really the jovial self that I, put out here on when I'm doing my my dashes and things, because I just didn't feel that way. Oh, you were on prednisone when you fought cancer. Oh boy. No, I don't like hearing that word, Duke, because that's what took my mom, was cancer, lung cancer. But anyway, all this medication and everything, and then of course missing 3 days of my primary job, which I hardly ever do. I hardly ever miss anything. But because they understood what I was going through, instead of getting, being 3 days off, they only gave me one because I had a doctor's note, and plus they knew I was on all kinds of medications, and that included an ear infection and everything else. So, I mean, I was in pretty bad shape for those 3 weeks. I was in very bad shape. But here's the one thing, and this is what I said on my thumbnail. This is, it's like, even though this thing is really powerful, you have to be bound and determined. Even though you're on all this medications, you all got to do the other stuff too. And one of the things that I've learned throughout the course of this, and I really haven't had any kind of inkling to have certain things that I was always having. And one of them, of course, I was on having coffee every single day. And I was also wanting to have things of sweets and stuff every single day. But once I got this, I knew there were things that were missing in my life because I did some research. I had to find out, hello, Mama, how you doing? Yeah, it's nice to see you, Mama. I got to tell you, you are very much appreciated in our community, and that's why when I did my cat video, I had to do it. Hey, 3 Stacks, how you doing? Yeah, it's good to see all of you. I'm glad you're here to listen to this, because this is very important. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through these last 3 weeks, because when you're on when you're on this medication and things, and you're missing out on stuff because you're not yourself, you can't play games with any of these flu strains. You just can't. Or anything else of that nature. Because, I mean, yeah, I had COVID, but when I did have COVID, it wasn't nearly, I mean, even though it was terrible, it wasn't as bad as this was. This was worse than COVID. At least in my opinion, it was. And I knew there were some things that I was missing, and I started doing stuff. I made some changes. And I started realizing that after I stopped, I've put sweets away for a while. I haven't had any sweet stuff like cakes, donuts, things like that. I haven't had anything like that for ever since I've had this. And I haven't really since had a real desire to have that, because I've been putting some other things in there. Like one of the things that I've been having every day, and I haven't had it as an advertisement, but what Chuck said he has every afternoon, and it's those Southwest salads that he has at Walmart for I think they're $4.74, at least at mine. I don't know what it is at Kingsland or how much it is at where you guys are at, but I've had those, and let me tell you, it's pretty filling, and it's the perfect type of salad for me, because there's some heat with it, with the type of salsa and stuff that there is. And what I'm saying is that this winter, I really feel this winter, because part of this summer has been a little bit cooler than normal in some times. I think this is setting the stage to be a very rough winter. And I know that these viruses and things are going to be pretty active. So I came on today to try to see maybe what we can do to prevent this kind of thing for you and your families, because no one should be out of work or out of their minds for 3 weeks like I was. Because when you're tired all the time, when you're on all this medication, especially when you went from amoxicillin to a higher antibiotic, because it was so deep inside, I was still had that respiratory system. I mean, this was a bear to get rid of, an absolute bear to get rid of. Everyone didn't want to be around me at my primary job. That's why I stayed away for 3 days, because, the cough was pretty bad. And especially where I work at, you don't want to be in areas where you're doing that type of coughing. Well, that's why I made the the thumbnail that I did, 3 stacks, because, especially for some older people and things, flu can take you out, just like COVID can. This was a powerful flu I went through. Very powerful. I mean, I couldn't believe being down for 3 weeks that this type of thing, that type A, could really, beat you to your knees like this did. Because that's exactly how I felt. And I'm just telling you guys right now to do whatever preventive measures that you can do this winter to keep you and your families from going through this. It's time to, go in moderation on things and start spending more time in the produce aisle. That's one of the things that I learned from this, is that I need to spend more time in the produce aisle than I do than any other place in the store. And I need to start doing more things in moderation, start, keeping yourself hydrated. Even in the winter, you got to keep yourself hydrated. Keep yourself off of caffeines and stuff. Now, one of the things that I did throughout this 3 weeks, I wanted to learn about this type of flu because I wanted to see what I could do to defeat it, because I started getting discouraged after the first week and a half going into the second week. I was like, what do I have to do to beat this? I know I'm on all these medications, but there's got to be more. And there's this one doctor that I recommend that everybody watch, and his name is Dr. Eric Berg. And he gave a lot of insight on certain things. He gives you ideas on what foods that you need to eat, what foods you need to stay away from. And he even goes into detail on what types of foods put inflammation in your body. And then when you get these viruses, if you already have inflammation, then that just enhances these viruses, and it makes them much more powerful, which is what I went through here. Because my body was already inflamed, because I was, I kind of have, with the type of jobs that I got, doing this dash-in, and of course doing my other job too as quality control, well, it's more of a sedentary thing than it is really an active thing. And prior to this job, I had a lot of active jobs. But when this thing hit, it was like, I've got to make some changes, because no one deserves to go through this. Nobody does. Nobody does. I'm 57 years old. And I know that when something like this hits, you don't know what to expect. But just like Mama said, you got to educate yourself. You got to know. It's like Stallone said in Rocky Balboa. He said, the older you get, the more things you got to leave behind. And yes, there are some things that you have to leave behind. And you got to watch certain things. You got to keep the excess sugar out of your life. And it's amazing to me that today, hello nieces, how you doing? I really liked seeing you guys at that meetup yesterday. And keep that singing up, because they got a great voice. But anyway, the things that I learned throughout this whole process was cutting back on things of sugar. And if you read some of the labels and things, Dr. Berg even went into detail on this, is that you got to do some label reading and see just exactly how much sugar is in things that you consume. I mean, it's absolutely astounding to see how much sugar is in everything. And if you have kids, hello Terry, how you doing? It's nice seeing you over there with Chuck and them yesterday. Glad you could join us. But that's the one thing, like I said, one of the things I've learned is seeing how much sugar that you're consuming. And sugar comes in all types of things. As a matter of fact, he did a video that was called, food can be medicine or poison. Exactly. And this is what I'm telling everybody because like I said, I think this winter is going to be very rough for these viruses. I think they're all going to team up this year because it's going to be the type of winter that I think it's going to be cold and that there's going to be ups and downs, and it makes these viruses active. And that's one of the things that I came on here today to help prevent anyone who watches this. I want to help you prevent from getting this. I don't want anyone to be out of commission for 3 weeks or longer. It's time that we take care of ourselves. We take care of our kids. We take care of our aging parents. We do what we can to try to keep everybody safe, especially from health stuff. Everyone, you're right, Mama. Everyone needs to find out what works for them. Sometimes not everyone can afford all the things. Right, of course they can't. And I agree. There are some people that are, that live on a fixed income, and they can only afford the canned goods and things, and the things that they can only do. But of course, there's more sugar in certain things than we realize. And it seems like anytime, especially when I was younger up to today, I mean, I never really even thought about the things that that I bought or anything, and I never even considered how much sugar is in everything. And now that after I learned about all this, it's like, it's no wonder that my body was so inflamed. It's no wonder I felt like the way I did at times, because I wasn't paying attention to what was in the labels, and I hardly spent any time in the produce section. But now I'm going to be spending a lot more time in the produce section because, well, of course, you got to watch yourself there too, because of the pesticides things. You got to try to see, you've got to get as much organic as you can. And if you possibly can do it, try to grow your own things. Because if you grow your own things, you don't have to worry about pesticides or anything like that. You just got to put all kinds of flowers and things to keep the rabbits out of your garden. Marigolds is one of them. Marigolds keeps rabbits out. But anyway, yes, inflammation for food, shop the per meter. Exactly, Terry. Educates the young ones now. And while you're talking about that, Mama, I want to mention one thing, because, and Dr. Berg even said about this, and there was also some studies that in the school lunches today for kids, from K through 12, there's more sugars, more additives, more processed stuff and everything in the school lunches. It's no wonder we have problems with our kids these days because of the industrial foods that are given to our kids in the schools. And it seems like everything today is more processed than it was back in the day during my time. Because today, everything is just, we got to do it right now and everything else. It's like everything is slopped together. I mean, nothing, there's no care or anything. It's just slopped together. And it's like, well, here, I'm getting paid to do this and all that kind of thing. And the thing is, if you don't put any care into what it is you're doing, it just shows. And I'm going into the sugary sweets need to be expensive luxuries. Right. Farm fresh needs to be more affordable. Exactly. Processed foods came on in the mid 60s and 70s. Yes, Terry. But they weren't, during the time when I was in school, they weren't as prevalent then as they are now. Because back during my time, there was more things that were more made by hand than there are today. Because today, most everything is made by machine, and most everything, it's like, and the places where people work at and everything, they're just unhappy where they work at. And that shows too, especially when I'm out here dashing. And it's a shame. And it's just, there needs to be some kind of thing that we can do to where we can improve things like this. No, Dr. Eric Berg, B-E-R-G. Yeah, Dr. Berg. Yeah, look him up on all good old boys stay in government, nothing's going to change. They use farmers to make the millions. It's disgusting. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. American corporations are our problems. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that that Ray could could agree with this, but because some of the foods that we have here in the States, they're banned in the European countries because of the stuff that's in them. And I found that to be interesting. So what is it that the Europeans know that we don't? Or do we, American corporations, do we just not care? And that concerns me too. Because they threaten the farmers. Huh. It's no wonder. And that's why I'm saying we all need to come together to try to see what we can do to prevent these types of things. Because when these infirmities come along, they can come along at any time. But especially in the winter, in the winter months when it's really more prevalent, we've got to take more preventive measures. We got to do more research on the things that we have and the things that we do and the things that we eat and things that we give our kids. And that, it's not like we can't just cut and try, oh, you can never have this again. Because birthdays come up. I mean, sure, you want to have pieces of cake and things like that during that time, but you don't want to have it every single day. It's just like you don't want to have things like pizza every single day, or burgers every single day, or fries every single day. Because the oils that are in those things, and Dr. Berg has said, the oils that are in those things is what causes inflammatory in your body. And the more inflamed your body is, when these infirmities come along, it just enhances their power. And then they go in your body full force, and it's much tougher to get rid of them. And that's exactly what happened to me. So for the last 3 weeks, I got off the coffee. I got off the sweets. I got off the more bread product stuff, because bread right there, any more bread, it just turns into sugar. So you got to watch your bread intake, because it turns into sugar. And spend more time in the produce. And like I said, I'm advertising Chuck's Southwest salad over there at Walmart. I'm advertising that because if you've never had that salad, you need to get that salad. It's one of the most delicious salads I've ever had. It's very filling. I mean, yes, it's $5, $4.74 plus tax, so that's what it is here. I don't know what it is where you are, but that's a very filling salad. It's absolutely delicious, and it'll hold you over, until your next meal, because it's that filling, and it's healthy. It's not like you got to have burgers and things to, to hold you over. I mean, sure, they're great they're great to have, every now and then because, we deserve to have something nice, especially if we're out here doing all this type of work. You don't eat bagged salads. The chemicals used to preserve. Okay. Yeah, I get that. So if you have a salad, Mama, do you do it through, do you grow your own vegetables and do your own, just make your own salads from scratch? Because that's good too. Because it's good, to go to we buy from locally grown farm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can go to places like Whole Foods. Whole Foods is more organic things. You get to choose. I mean, sure, they have the other two, but we got to watch the pesticides and the things like that too, because that causes inflammation in your body. But I basically just wanted to get on here. It's not expensive. We know where it's coming from, what's on it. Right. Right. And we need to, and there just needs to be more education when it comes to things like this, because I don't want anyone to be on their knees for 3 weeks battling a strain of this nature from this infirmity that really doesn't deserve to have a name. The coughing was uncontrollable at first. And it just started slight, but this thing, as powerful as it was, having me to take 2 different types of antibiotics, making it stronger, and then adding prednisone to it. Potatoes are your weakness. Fries, definitely. Yeah. It's not that potatoes are bad. We just need to do it in moderation. And we got to watch the oil and things that are on fries, because the oil that's on the fries is what causes inflammation in our systems. The best oil to use, extra virgin olive oil, and you can't just pick the cheap stuff. It's going to be a little costly, but it's worth it. And that's what I use now. I used to use butter. And coconut oil is not, coconut oil is not bad either. But it's got to be the refined type, the type that's organic, and because there's a certain type of coconut oil that's not good for you. And you just got to read your labels. You got to do your research as to know what it is that you're putting in your system. I came on here because I don't want anyone to go through this. This was one of the toughest 3 weeks that I've ever had to deal with. I am not one to miss any time at any job that I work at, but I ended up missing 3 days of my primary job because of this, and it was pretty devastating, because I make $27 an hour at my primary job, and missing 3 days of that's a pretty big chunk of change. Not to mention the time that I missed dashing. But when you have this type of thing, you don't want to be touching anybody's food. You don't want to be around any of that stuff. You don't want to give anybody what I had. That's not fair. No one deserves to go through this. I mean, when you're battling this type of thing, you're in a boxing ring. You really are. That's why I put that thumbnail up there. You're in a boxing ring. You're battling something that's trying to take your system over. And for some people, especially that they're, when they're older, it's a lot tougher. And sometimes these things are so powerful that the people can't handle it. I'm a caring person, Mama. That's why I come on here. I mean, I know things go the way they go. Yes, I understand that. But if there's anything that we can do to prevent it, anything at all, because prevention is important for many things. And the second thing that I want to talk about today, after I, get through with this, is another thing that I really believe can be prevented. Now, Georgia has been in the news not just for Chuck and his thing too, but something very unfortunate happened there a little over a week ago by a 14-year-old who was kind of like Peter Billingsley in A Christmas Story. He wanted a gun. Well, of course, in A Christmas Story, it was a toy gun. Well, this young man wanted the real thing. So what did his dad do? Gave him the real thing. And what did that do? Apparently, this young man was bullied in school. Or, this is just my opinion, because I went through this when I was, in school. I mean, it's never changed. I mean, even through the years, there's bullying and all kinds of stuff going around. Thank you, Sheila. Take care of yourself, and keep me informed on your progress with you and Star. Thank you, Terry. You take care too. But when I heard that this father gave this kid this gun, and apparently this young man was going through some things in the school. He was either being bullied, and apparently he didn't like the teachers for some other reason. I mean, like I said, I'm just guessing, but it sounds about right. And he just decides to go into school with that gun and wreak havoc. Okay, well, I'm not going to go into detail on all of it, because I don't want to discuss it either. But I'm just saying that we got to watch these types of things. And like I said, I don't want to discuss it either, but I'm just saying that, it's unfortunate that this happened, and there's things that need to be done to do it. So I'll just leave it at that, and I'll just go back to what it was I was discussing earlier. But no, you're right. We don't need to go through that, and it's just a shame that it happened, and there's things that we need to do to prevent it. But there's nothing we can do right now. But I appreciate you all being here today, and I'm glad that you're listening to this, and I just don't want anybody to go through this. This was pretty rough. Well, I know everybody's got some things going on in their lives, and I'm down to one in here, and I just want you all to understand that you got to take care of yourselves and learn from this, because I did. And in a couple of days, I'm going to be going back and getting back into the swing of things as far as dashing is concerned. And there's a challenge that I'm going to be doing in September a 921 challenge. And as I dash, I'll go into more detail on that. But I got to get back into platinum first before I can even do that. And I'm eight from the platinum. So I'm going to work on that starting today. And then I'll go into more detail on that September challenge. But it's going to be the challenge that every order is accepted for 4 straight dashes. And then there's a NASCAR thing that's involved too. All right, well, I know it's in the mid-afternoon, and I think I'm going to go ahead and call this live right now. Appreciate you all being here today, and thank you for listening. And I will see you all later. Have yourselves a wonderful day.